Here's an opinion about the Mario movie that you haven't heard. The movie is not real. Which is clearly false, and that's because if you've been on the internet for the past few weeks, you'll know everybody, their mother, their pet, and their eldritch shadow clone have reviewed this movie. Naturally, it's bound to become one of the most profitable animated films of all time and has already beaten the current number 1, Frozen 2, in opening weekend success. It might even be killing it harder by the time I finish editing this video, but the point is, everything that could be said about this movie has been said. And it's really weird to see such a ridiculous amount of reviews on this film, because not a single one of them uses movie footage in account of it being unavailable for download in decent quality. It's a theater film, so the best thing they can do is use cam-recorded footage with aggressive watermarks plastered all over it and 2 DMCAs of different sizes coming soon to their nearest domicile. Needless to say, most of the reviews can't really talk about the movie well enough because this handicap exists. So here's my attempt at it. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is a genuinely great film, more so for Illumination Studio standards. I've seen many creators focus their review on this comparison, but I need only to say one thing, which is that this is the first time Illumination has used a cinematographic parallel since the very first Despicable Me. Part 3, cause I haven't seen that one, so I don't know. But let's look at the movie independent from the studio behind it. It is unfair to rank it according to the rules of media that is generally considered bad. This movie has accomplished the goal of making a great video game movie. There's references to the source media, has a plot of its own that isn't too different from the original and looks faithful enough to the art style used in the games. Does it fall into every pitfall they can? Maybe. I mean, they did use Thunderstock, Take On Me, Mr. Blue Sky, and I Need a Hero, which is as dry of a music choice as Drywall itself. The plot is an origin story about their hero doubting their hero-ness and learning they are capable, which, if you haven't caught on, almost all video game movie adaptations use this plot. The celebrity voice cast more often than not is not doing a particularly good job at portraying the characters. Expectedly, these are the more common complaints you'll see everywhere else. And I could explain how the licensed music is actively worse than the intended tracks they've released as part of the soundtrack, or how it's not just Chris Pratt but also Charlie Day and Seth Rogen that do not pull their weight to perform these iconic characters, but you don't care about that. The character arcs are super basic as Illumination's usual work, except this time it's more natural and tolerable because of the movie's better pacing in regards to progression. The core pacing itself is a little quick, but come on. I see so many people jammering about the movie being short when almost every single animated film with critical acclaim is in the same 95 to 115 minute runtime range. But the basic character arc of the characters comes down to, I think I can do it, but I gotta believe! And this is the case for all of them except for Bowser and Peach, who almost have no character arc. When it comes to the music, I think this was simultaneously the best and the worst part of the film. Several remixes throughout the film drove me nuts with how good they were. And I did turn to my body several times explicitly to complain about the Sonic movie not doing the same thing. I do think Mario admits itself to orchestrated big movie soundtracks a lot more than Sonic can. There's a point where you get a slight remix of Gusty Garden Galaxy and there's literally no need to change anything, so it's just like a cover. Regardless, it is absolutely top notch. And yeah, when I say best and worst, I am talking about the usage of incredibly popular licensed tracks to the point where it's literally sinful to use them. And when I don't mention the DK rap, it's because it really isn't as big of a deal as people make it out to be. That's what we've called fan service since like the 80s or something. That said, the visuals are top notch. This movie presents itself in a golden gown and showcasing how much of a daddy Bowser is. And I can admit, it's doing it for me. The human designs look really good, their adaptation of different game characters such as Kamek and the Koopas look dope, but it's the environments and lighting that genuinely struck a chord with me. For the most part, there's something about the film's post-processing effects and motion blur that actively got in my way when trying to look at the environment. They're all so detailed and nice and have so many references, but it's often too dark or too light to see. Occasionally there's times where you can't even look at the scene behind the characters because it's blurry or disorienting to look at. The lighting itself, however, ends up looking really clean, particularly the color lighting, like this scene with the Rainbow Road that... Wait. Ventus? It's not a perfect movie, you're delusional if you think so, but it's also not bad. I'd say it borders on pretty good and even great if you have been into Mario for some time, as everything is genuinely fun. Admittedly, fun is one of the biggest attractors this film has. But like, I saw a comment on the Bowser's Fury song they used in this film while looking at the OST, and they were basically saying that it's a very niche reference that no one will understand because it's from like 2 years ago when 11 million people bought that game. You wanna know a niche reference? Huh? When Kamek sits with Bowser to play the piano and jam with him, he accompanies with a reference to a video from fucking 2007. Now read that and weep. Wait, but do you mean a ton of other people got the reference to a video with 3.6 million views where the top comment is literally, "When King Bowser says jam with me"? Impossible! I got the reference and you didn't, so I'm more special! It's part of the fun to point at the screen and be like, "Wow, I understand that!" Sure, it's sorta lazy, but that doesn't mean it's not fun and effective. Just don't go around pretending like there isn't millions of people who got the reference as well. Something being cool doesn't force it to also be special or unique. Things can just be cool and expected at times. So why the hell do you pretend to care? Like, spoiler-free reviews of this film are silly because people have the intention of watching it anyways. Spoiler-full reviews of this film are silly because it implies you should have watched the movie beforehand, which means you'd be watching the video only to corroborate your opinion or because you like the content creator. So if you're here in case of the latter, thank you very much, you're the best. But in any other case, seeing so many reviews of the Mario movie is baffling to me. So many reviews concerning both the creators and the public's opinion on this film. Clearly, it's just content creators trying to add some value to the review by using an uncommon approach. My review here is so bland and expected, I feel. I probably have a few opinions that vary with yours, but ultimately, I'm not saying anything your own critical ability didn't think about during your watch of the film, or anything that influenced you in any way to choose to watch it or not. And I'm guilty as charged of this. Before even getting the tickets to watch the movie, I already knew I'd be discussing the topic of the empty review, the lack of value they have to us, and the nature of these having a less than admirable origin. This might just be me coming from seeing many anime being praised on the internet by virtue of being popular rather than their actual strengths and weaknesses, but it's true that reviews from immensely popular media will never be concise or defined. You'll see YouTubers trying to be interesting by either claiming the movie is the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world, only because they know it's convenient for them to have a controversial perspective, because that is considerably easier than discussing anything interesting surrounding the film. You wouldn't watch an uninteresting video with an uninteresting title, and you're in a place that forces the people who give it life to be interesting. Like, we as content creators, we sort of follow trends. We know something is gonna be popular, so we know what topics to discuss in order to get more views. Since more views for us doesn't just mean internet clout, it means this month's income being more beneficial to us. Do not forget, many of us have this as a job in some form. I can't, I'm not earning enough. Or opinions will hinge on whether or not our title can be interesting, because the content of the video itself is not what the consumer is intending to find. They might want an explained opinion on something they can't understand. They might want to see if their own opinion is shared with other people who might be more influential. They could just be looking for entertainment, which is perfectly fine. I don't know, but it's not about that. It's about the consumer looking for something that they can see in a captivating light. And we don't always have that captivating rainbow road color light. Then we can either change our opinion or write half of the video surrounding a related tangent about whether or not critics are wrong, what the audience thinks, or why we are angry that several dudes released a Mario movie review that said nothing to you in its 20-minute duration and ended in a conclusion of, "You, dear audience member, must decide for yourself," in nothing but 2 days after the movie's release. The epitome of a rush video that you would probably not watch if the creator had taken the time to make it, as this video might evidence from the next few months or even longer. The internet reviews are biased by the need to appeal to a mass audience. That doesn't remove value for them, it's just an extra layer to the situation that I'm inviting you to consider in the future. We are not unbiased. We will do our best to avoid creating an empty review because we know that audiences look for value in what they watch. But maybe these desperate attempts to increase value have no real value. After all, we are just tricking people to keep them watching for longer, a necessary marketing strategy. Our reviews are just as empty as the empty reviews we all wish to avoid so much, and that will never change. These videos, in the end, they're just a set of thoughts that you might or might not be interested in. Some of us will manage to find something beyond the movie to talk about, and we're probably going to talk about that animation for half of the video, but ultimately, what we found beyond the movie is not going to get the clicks. And all I can hope for as a content creator is that people will find this video, watch it all the way through, and understand what I'm trying to say, or listen to me for a bit, and just maybe find value in my empty review. So my opinion is that the movie was good, and you're free to agree, disagree, going to the movie with it in mind, going to the movie completely ignoring it. That's not what I'm here for. As I said, you are here because the title seemed interesting to you or you were wondering about my opinion, which I hope was good for you, and I thank you so much for watching. But really, what part about the last 5 minutes did you not understand? I'm literally just salty at content creators for being more goddamn successful than I!